Come on down to WIKD Motorsports for Z06 Mania.
Z06 Mania.
We got a blue one, we got a white one, we got a shiny black one, we got a not shiny black one. This one's a race car. This one's not a race car. This one's getting taken apart. This one's getting put together. Red brake calipers. This one's getting a tune. This one has a turbo. Yellow. Yellow adjacent calipers. Blue. Drag slicks. Want a race car? Want a street car? Or something in between? If you have a Z06 and you want it not to suck, bring it up here and we'll make it wicked.
Bringing your Z06 into WIKD Motorsports may cause an increased level of joy. You may experience a slightly heavier right foot, increased adrenaline, and more smiles per mile. Some drivers report sudden urges to accelerate, and an uncontrollable desire to conquer the road, and an overwhelming sense of joy. Side effects may include faster acceleration, improved handling, and occasional arguments with your wife. WIKD Motorsports is not liable for any fines, tickets, or court fees you might incur while operating your WIKD Tune Z06.
All right, so Adam, looks like the cage is coming together. I see the other side is tacked already, but this one not quite, but the structure's in, like it looks like.
Yeah, this one's actually ahead of that side because now that we have all the feet welded where they need to be, the back bars welded, now we are getting in the down bars from the halo. That's fully welded as well to the main hoop.
Oh, so the halo's in place.
The halo's in place, it ain't going nowhere, that's solid. So now we got the down bars and the lower sill bar below the door.
Oh, so
now,
we've added a sill bar.
Yeah, so the sill bar's in there now. So what we ended up doing was we tacked in this upper bar and had the down bar and the sill bar tacked to the foot mount. And then we removed the foot mount so I can weld it fully outside. So I removed it with the down bar and the sill bar out. Because those ones can be welded outside the vehicle. The only ones that can't be welded outside are going to be this upper bar to the halo and the sill bar to the main hoop. Those will all have to be done inside. So I'd like to get as much done outside so the welds are, the best looking as possible, and I'm not in such hard positions to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially the bright side with our C7 is that at least it is a removable top. It's a Targa, and so it's probably a little bit less of a headache, but still, there's not a whole lot of room in these things to work
Most
with.
definitely.
So, well, that's awesome. So what exactly would you say? So is this an 8-point or is this?
Yeah, this would be an 8-point, especially considering the rear bars here that go down from the halo or from the main hoop. It's supposedly certified. According to RPM, they said that it's entirely certified by anywhere you go. NHRA, SCCA. It's got connections for a.
Really?
Yeah, connections for a window net as well.
Interesting.
But I think it really comes down to the fact that most of these vehicles, the A pillars and B pillars, are so strong now that any collision or rollover event is prevented a lot from crushing from those specifically.
Yeah.
So now this is kind of just more reinforcement. The main concern usually when it comes down between a street car and a race car is race cars like Evan Shanks is you're removing a lot of the structure and like the doors or any of the impact material that's inside the vehicle as well. So you're lightening it up by removing a lot of material. So most race cars, the more material you remove, the more structure you have to put back in. So usually when you're in like a circle track car, FIA car, SCCA, they have the door bars that are like 3-row bars right here. Well, it's because the doors are empty.
Right.
There's not even a secondary plate in there to help crush. The door is literally just a skin with no structure.
Right.
So that's usually why there's so much more going on the roll cages. And then you get any faster than 8.5, you're getting the really high speeds, really high horsepower. They have a funny car cockpit
Right. So you have
that
like
go in around the
right.
driver as well. And then you have more cross bracing to add in. So I mean, you can kind of go crazy. You don't really have to. You have to get the basics down, which is mainly halo, down bars, roll hoop.
Right.
And that's your main concern. And then it's just kind of carte blanche and up to the builder where to add all the cross bracing.
Yeah. Well, heck yeah. Well, that actually seems like a good segue into talking about cages. So why don't we head over to our fab room, and we'll actually go in a little bit more in depth about how cages function and the differences between them. Make sure I'm correct. Or is it SCCA? Or a roll cage, like a 4.6. On the surface, it might kind of seem like all cages are pretty much the same. They just look like these big masses of scaffolding or pipe that's welded together that frame the inside of a car. But in reality, there's a huge amount of different variations to them. In racing, you have a bunch of governing bodies depending on what kind of racing we're talking about. So there's actually a huge number of them, but these are kind of the big ones. So you have like NASA, SCCA, IMSA, FIA, NHRA, Formula Drift, and then of course Global Time Attack and World Time Attack. A 4-point roll cage that's certified in NHRA isn't necessarily going to be legal in SCCA because they have different requirements. The same thing is going to go for pretty much any size of cage because they're meant to protect a driver in a different way based upon the most common way that they crash. So for instance, in the NHRA or drag racing, the overwhelming likelihood is that if you find yourself rolling, drag cars have a tendency that when they turn and they start to roll, they'll topple, and they have a huge amount of momentum, and there's really nothing to stop them from toppling. So they'll just sit there and they'll just go and go and go. And as a result, their structures will reflect that. Whereas in SCCA, if you do autocross, it's kind of a tough place to crash, but if you do, you're not gonna crash like that. Or if you're racing in like some kind of spec series, like spec Miata or spec Corvette, NASA time trials, Global Time Attack, one of those, if you find yourself flipped, there's a lot of different things that are there to stop you. Of tire barriers, Tech Pro, or a gravel trap. In contrast, a lot of the cars that, for instance, race in FIA series, so that's going to cover like Formula 1, 2, 3, LMDH, which is Le Mans hypercars, prototypes, LMP2, they have crash structures instead of traditional cages. Now, when you get into how many points a cage has, that's how many points of contact the cage has basically with the chassis of the car. So like a 4-point is going to have 2 back braces and then a roll hoop. 6-point is when you start adding like door bars. So you'll have the back braces, the rollover hoop, and the door bars. You really probably shouldn't drive a car that has a halo, so basically 8-point and up, without a helmet on, because if you get into a car accident on the street, there's a high probability that you could end up hitting your head, and then you run the risk of actually dying in an accident that you wouldn't have otherwise died in. And at that point, you're getting into a territory of safety equipment that's really meant to be used in conjunction with other safety equipment. For instance, racing drivers usually will wear a Hans device that also limits their ability to move their heads. Now, another good example of the typical type of crash that a car will experience in a given motorsport would be Formula Drift. The chances are, if you look at a Formula Drift car, or if you even like the 370Z that we've got in our shop, you'll notice that its door bars are very different from our C7 Corvette's door bars. The reason being is the C7 Corvette, if it runs into something on the drag strip, it's not likely going to have a side impact. On the flip side, an FD car is almost exclusively going to have side impacts. You're either going to run into something with the side of the car, or something's going to run into the side of your car. So as a result, the door bars and the structure of the cage is going to reflect that. And then on an extreme example would be like WRC cars. I don't know if you've ever seen a rally car crash. Those things crash in every way you can possibly imagine. They'll run straight into a static object like a tree. They'll topple, they'll go off cliffs. It's absolutely wild what those guys do. So if you see a WRC car without like basically any of the body on it, you see the cage of that, they look just unreal. But yeah, that's a quick rundown on cages. So I guess let's head back out to the shop and see the progress there. See, now you thought Z06 Mania was over, but no, we got another shiny black one. What? Yeah.
Like 100% stock.
Yeah.
Gee.
Do you want to just basically reshoot that in?
You are now a race car.
Okay, so back in the shop, 2 exciting things just showed up. The new Kirky seat for WIKD and WIKD 2.0, which you just saw. So the cage, I guess now, Adam, the cage is, I mean, it's done.
It's done.
It is finished. The Kirky seat is, did we get just one? Oh, I guess we only need one.
Well,
so
It's a race car now.
yeah, where's the pass?
we're gonna need another one. Maybe not a Kirky, but
Yeah, because the competition seat isn't going to work with the
that'll
cage.
fit in there.
Oh, even the other factory seat? Oh, that sucks.
Strip it down and just put it in there, maybe.
Yeah. Well, at least now we can stop pretending like this isn't a race car.
Right, but to qualify for what I was aiming for was the limited class in 2K. You have to have 2 seats.
Oh, you do? I did not know that.
2 seats, working headlights. Can't be a front half car. Can't tub it.
I've never been fast enough to even bother reading those rules, so I
I'm
have.
trying to get into like Champ or Pro would be nice. So it's like mid 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Elite is sub 7s.
I mean, the whole point of TX2K is having the fastest street car, right?
There's classes though. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, unlimited classes for the shop cars.
Yeah, yeah.
People
yeah.
going out to the break records and stuff like that. Otherwise, they got like the super class, the DCT class, stick shift class, heavyweight,
Okay.
Cool.
GTR.
Yeah, so I guess now that we can stop pretending that it's not a race car, what are we doing with the engine? The LT4, I presume, is coming out, and we're gonna shoot for something a little bit higher, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we're still mulling over ideas, but
Dope.
feels as though we're on the way to just a really high horsepower LS. There's some pretty nice LS blocks out there now that are really stout.
What kind of power are we shooting for?
2,500 plus. Around there.
We're probably good to end it there then. Keep an eye out because there's going to be more changes, obviously, and now we've got WIKD 2.0, and that build's going to be starting too. So, yeah, we'll see y'all, I guess, next time. So in the midst of all of the PRI stuff, the Rift build, all the crazy amount of stuff we've got going on this week, we got this C7 Z06 in that is in for, well, a lot. So what we got on the table here, we have headers, we have some more exhaust pieces down here. It looks like an X-pipe. We've got a Mighty Mouse catch can, a new damper, which you should always do, basically harmonic balancer, crank pulley, anytime you do a cam. It's not that by nature of taking one off, you shouldn't put it back on. It's more of why do that? You're already in there, and if it is aged and it does separate, it's gonna cause you a whole bunch of problems. Ask me how I know. Then of course we have the standard cam kit upgrades, trunnion springs, new head gaskets. Oh, are we pulling the heads on it? Okay, well, cool. And so the cam is going in it is not this. This is actually the factory cam. The new one is already in, and that is a Gwatney PD2 cam, so it's gonna have a really nice chop to it. We kind of anticipate this making somewhere in the mid 700s when it's all said and done. So we got Sergi here, he's already working away on it, and then we'll be putting it together, throwing it on the dyno, and seeing what we can produce with it.
Hey guys, it's Aiden. I'm usually behind the camera, but wanted to update you guys real quick. Chase was talking about this white Z06. It's actually gonna take a little longer than anticipated. We're sending the supercharger to get ported, so it might take a little longer before we actually get it on the dyno and everything. So just quick update.
Aiden's buying a BMW.
No.
We're going to Grid Life.
No.
2025 is gonna be sick.
Yeah, I'm down.